Greetings and welcome to my dear Aquarians out there. This is Ron from tarotofthetwinsun. I am working through the YouTube platform to bring a prognostication for the month of November 2024 for the energy of Aquarius. The traditional ruler of Aquarius is Saturn, and with this, the 10th and the 11th houses are open. We are looking here at a very practical prognosis. Basically, there's a stimulation of wealth, the sort of bringing in of wealth. Okay, and this is very interesting because your 10th house as well, especially for Aquarian in a sense, 10th house activation and the second house. There's the new moon in Scorpio right over the MC, your MC. And on top of that, the MC blesses the second house. So there's like hidden resources coming from speculative financing. A lot of Aquarians that I have found in research, especially research through the Spirit Vehicle channel, they have an interesting duplicity about them. Aquarians are able to appear one way and then completely manifest another. They're neither from the past nor they're kind of a version of themselves is from the past, a version is from the future. They deal with dual systems of intellectual capacity of the manas, and they bring forward realities that are black and white, and they have the quality of having a two-faced quality. Okay, and that's Aquarians, especially Aquarian ascendants. For example, Tyler the Creator, Miley Cyrus, I think even Kanye West. They have like this this capacity to bring forward wealth through the creative field, for one thing, because of basically the sort of disposition of this transit system. The new moon activates the MC, so it stimulates and aggravates the collective wealth, especially spiritual wealth, and essentially brings forward that in your 2nd and 10th houses, which are the houses of wealth. 12th house, 11th house, also houses of wealth. And because of this, Saturn, your main ruler, Aquarius's ruler, is in the 2nd house in the energy of Pisces, and because of that, we look to Jupiter, which is the traditional ruler in Vedic astrology, to Jupiter for what you would benefit in terms of this 2nd house activation. So generally speaking, karmas with the family are going to be good. Karmas that are tied to your wealth are going to be released, and you're going to be generating wealth this month. This has to do with speculative financing, hidden resources, inheritances as well, hard work that is activating your 10th house. So it's a month of hard work, and the mission, I would call it, that Aquarians have with especially the 10th house in Scorpio is very interesting, because what that means is that there's a deep way of working that involves occult sciences and being seen as someone who is a bit pariahic, meaning that you're an outcast energy. And because of such, there's a capacity for Aquarians to generate wealth through unexpected incomes, like, for example, the creative field, which could be terribly or perhaps even positively sort of like not predictable. For one thing, it's very mystical, and the 2nd house cusp of Pisces is like spiritual wealth of some sort. So it's both material and spiritual, and it's tied to good karma if you can transform that karma and set it free. Okay, this is a really good time to activate and plant those seeds and generate a hidden structure of approaching wealth systems. So diving into spirituality, diving into places of pilgrimage are very important this time of November. And let's see, the dispositor Jupiter is 1, 2, 3, 4 houses away. There's something spiritual happening with Jupiter in retrograde with the opposition to Venus. Relationships are not going to be very very reliable. There's a sort of need to be independent, and that being the greatest teacher when it comes to Jupiter in opposition to Venus. Venus also opposes Saturn, so it's not good for sort of trying to go too far into the future. You have to stay on stability and work with your current karmas and karmas of past lives if you have them. Everyone has them, and to work on that. Now, Mercury, Mars, and Neptune in retrograde create this very powerful triangle. It's a trine system, and it's three ways, three major planets: Mercury, Mars, and Neptune in retrograde. When this happens, Mars kind of afflicts Mercury, and it allows for, well, I mean, in this particular trine system, it actually doesn't. It promotes relationships that have a key signature, especially with the mother, your mother, or like the divine mother, the divine feminine, attracting that in terms of your relationships as a sense of nurture to support Mercury in Scorpio, which is basically occult information. You can stimulate this and learn a lot from the actions of your mother, who is potentially a soulmate to you, or perhaps a soulmate who has the key signature of Leo as well. And it allows for dreams to your dreams to make contact with these people during your dreams, with Mercury in the 10th house. That allows for sort of dealing with karmas that you have been dealing with other people, and contacting these people. As you contact them, it's not just a regular text or phone call. I'm talking about being connected in terms of your antennae, your spiritual antennae, to others who are similar, that are potentially soulmates, and you can sort of let them know what your realities, your dreams are like, and meet them in the dream world. Now, there's more. There's a potential for you to benefit with Pluto in Capricorn and Pars Fortune in Aquarius, and that stimulates once again the Scorpio theme of hidden resources. This month of November, especially on the 1st and moving forward, is a new moon cycle. It allows you to essentially produce or plant the seeds when it comes to your work. So this is an auspicious time to take chances and to take transformations into defining yourself, of how people see you, so your image and your wardrobe. Not only that, your spiritual wardrobe. What kind of gifts are you being given during this time period from Mercury and from Neptune in retrograde in Pisces, and from others, especially soulmates? What kind of gifts are being given to you so that you can appear as you should, in terms of your own self-image, your aura? Okay? So these are just some pointers for this month. I do wish you well. Take care. Bye-bye. Greetings and welcome to my dear Pisceans. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. I'm working here on the YouTube platform to bring forward a prognostication, a look into the future in the month of November 1st, November 2024. So this is November reading for Pisces. The 12th house is open. So there are two rulers here. Neptune as well, the traditional ruler of Jupiter when it comes to Piscean energy, and there is a chance for in this month to come up with a way to retreat back home to recharge your energy. When Jupiter as well as when Neptune are here, there are two ways, and one is spiritual, one is more modern. When it comes to the spiritual path of Jupiter in retrograde, you have to wait a little bit longer for the gateway to open and to bring you essentially relationships that are a little bit more stable, with Venus the planet of relationships in the 10th house, there's a chance for relationships to be very independent, or people valuing more free-flowing love and exploring love relationships. So basically, there's a challenge here to establish yourself in terms of what you would consider to be a safe space. And if you need that, there's a chance to go to that. But the gateway will turn, you'll find the keys, and eventually there will be a change in terms of dealing with relationships. Further, Venus is in square with Saturn in retrograde, and that produces kind of a negative effect when it comes to finding a sense of beauty and grace within your own house, with your own house of health, especially. So you need to find a way to beautify and turn into a sort of reflective mode, or reflective modality, to really resonate with good health. It's important to achieve that as soon as possible, good health. Let's see. The new moon will produce that in a way. You will be gifted with a way to represent and heal up on your aura. It comes from your ninth house, which is the moon and the sun conjunction, which is basically new moon in Scorpio in your ninth house. And there's something like a guide or a teacher. Identify your guides and teachers, your gurus, your saints, your nuns, your priests, your sheikhs, whatever. Your teachers. There's someone there that will help you, or perhaps an entity that would help you from the other side. And this is an occult entity. It's something very secret, very hidden. It has to do with the death and regeneration cycle, when especially you travel, or you learn something exotic, or you learn something spiritual or philosophical in nature. So you have to open your mind to learning new knowledge, and or perhaps learning through traveling, if you can travel, or perhaps watch documentaries on travel, or learn about other cultures, or perhaps something exotic like a foreign language. These are all things that can help you beautify somehow. And it's not just physical beauty, I'm talking about energetic beauty. This is like aura, and having the sort of right halo or the right light around you in order to bond and attract those that would most resonate with your highest self. So these are things that I'm seeing so far. There's also Jupiter, the dispositor, your ruler, Jupiter, traditionally on the spiritual plane. Jupiter, the dispositor, is of Gemini's Mercury. Okay, so we go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses away. There are certain relationships that might be afflicting certain Pisceans out there, especially ones that are in relationships, where the idea of free love is very important for everyone, meaning love without conditions, love where knowledge and knowing the right path is there. And if it's not there, then people will tend to go and try to find that right path, that right calling, that right alignment with others. So it's a very strong indication that you have to retreat and treat yourself instead of trying to project onto others needs that that cannot be met by them. The secret of modern love, or perhaps the future of love in the Aquarian age, is basically unconditional. And if you have conditions, or people around you have conditions, Venus in Sagittarius is here to teach us that we can free up on these karmas and let go completely. And this allows for healing on your first house and fourth house, the houses of the self and the houses of the inner self. Okay, so there's a chance here to essentially learn through this new paradigm of love to sort of help you program yourself into reaching a form of unconditionality. Okay, there is a big square here. Aside from, the square is pretty intense. The 5th and the 11th house, Mars and Pluto, wars and stuff like that happen because of this. And these are future wars. They're wars based on the sun, also the sun's energy. So it's like very combusting, and Mars afflicts Pluto, which is like very intense. It's like and November will be a time on a collective level where you can benefit for sure, but by sort of through a passive observing of this type of energy. It's very explosive, and it has to do with excuse me, what the other person has, or like it has to do with the Chariot and the Devil. So like basically those are major arcana, and it's like seeing black or white, or like being bound to like the idea of nation or identity. Anyways, spaced out, back to it. There is something about let's see. Yes, a major activation here with Neptune in retrograde, as well as Mars and Mercury. Now, when these planets correlate, Mars infuses energy into Mercury, and Mercury into Neptune, and Neptune into Mars. So there's a very positive triangle here, and it's in the shape of the divine masculine. So it's a very positive time to work on yourself and come up with the right path by aligning occult information or things that your mind will pick up on when it comes to the ninth house. So the mind will be traveling very deeply this month, and it also activate dreams and actions that are related to basically address the coming changes in the future, especially the next dawn, the coming days. And essentially, you will find the right actions and the right alignment and the attunement of mind in order to produce, or at least to assess your dreams and how they affect you physically, and also metaphysically with your subtle body. All right, so yeah, these are things to reflect on. I do wish you well. That is all for now. Please take care. See you next month. Greetings and welcome to my dear Arians out there. This is Ron from Tarot the Twin Sun. I am working on the platform of YouTube to bring forward through the Twin Sun prognostications, future readings for the month of November. This is an animated chart from the first day of November at about 3:21 p.m. and I think this is Los Angeles time. And we are looking here primarily through the house of houses. This is a house of houses reading. We're looking through the houses to see activations for the month of November 2024. And we'll go ahead and get started. This is, of course, for the energy of Aries. And what I see, firstly, is a new moon activation of Mars energy, of the house of Mars, which is a Scorpio. Of course, your first house is also activated through that as well. On a collective level, the cusp between the fourth and the fifth houses are activated. That is Cancer and Leo. So there's a number of things happening with Mars. And firstly, I'll begin with the new moon. The new moon occurs, excuse me, and activates your eighth house. So when this happens, there is an occultation of the moon. Means that the moon goes dark and there's no moon apparent in the sky. So there's an information stream that comes through occult reference and through occultation. And basically, there's a mystical path of your 8th and 12th houses. Those are the houses of moksha that are very strong. And basically, it's the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th houses of moksha are being activated and bringing forward fortune to you. It activates your ascendant plus Pars fortune, North Node, and Neptune in retrograde here. So that allows for an incredible ordeal wherein you are allowed to be set free in some sort of way through information. and this information comes through a slight conjunction, albeit it's pretty heavy, like 15, almost 12 to 15 degrees difference between the new moon and Mercury. Okay, and this activates something for you. Primarily, it's the 8th house, the dispositor from it, which is the house of houses, where Mars is placed, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 houses. So the 9th house is about information that is got through a guru, or a guru, or the actions of a guru, actions of a leader, actions of a spiritual teacher. Okay, they impart upon you from the other realm, from the other side, an activation of the 8th house, and bring forward Saturn's energy here through another trine. That's from the 8th, the new moon, to the 8th, to Saturn in retrograde in Pisces. Okay, so what this talks about is a hidden structure or hidden message that comes from the Akashic record that allows you to catalog and bring forward a download. This is like wahi. In Arabic understanding, wahi is the ability to listen and for the prophet to receive messages from the divine. So it's a time of divination. It activates also Mars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. It activates 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 houses away. It activates something very deep and personal for you. And it's a creative drive type of energy that stimulates the mind, but it's not just a regular mind. It's the subconscious information that's stored universally in the reptilian brain, and then is brought to consciousness on the ascendant. So basically your body is coming to an alignment around this time. Your subtle body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, whatever. Your forms of bodies, your presence is being accentuated at this time to align to actions that come with the idea of attaining moksha, of achieving spirituality. It's a very spiritual time. And the way people will see you is very much based on this type of energy. There's an activation of karma with karmic relationships, with the South Node and Vesta here. You're going to be able to heal up on situations, not highly aspected right now, but because your ascendant is very strongly accentuated, if you do the work with others, you will be brought fortune, and you will also bring forward and activate this idea of being free from relationships and toxic energy from karma. Okay, so it's a time for burning. It's a time for also transformation. It's a time for deep spiritual dharma and coming to alignment with that, which is a very positive thing for Arians out there. There also is a very strong opposition between the 4th and 5th house, the Mars energy here in Cancer. So actions of the mother go against actions of the father. This is like a death and regeneration cycle between your inner world, outer world, meaning that your inner world and outer world might seem out of sync. Keep pushing out actions that are dharmically aligned to emancipation, to freedom, to spirituality, and that will provide for you a transformation with your outer world. You're going to be able to change through challenge the outer world, basically, and I see it as a very positive aspect here. Even though it is an opposition, you gain basically a great deal of fortune, you gain clarity of mind, you gain actions that are aligned with a higher purpose. Let's see, Mars has its dispositor in the moon, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, about four or 5 houses away. So when it comes to your actions, what you're here to do, your karma, which is Mars, and it's the dispositor of Aries. Mars is pointing to the moon, which allows for a type of re-identification with your inner world and how you can produce things outside creatively. Do not fight the system. Go with it. And there's something about you coming to a good influence with your mother, or perhaps your home, your domicile, coming to good space with, also if you're going to religious pilgrimages or any temples or churches, mosques, anything like that. It will help to attune you and to give you the right codes when it comes to this new moon energy. And I would highly recommend to, on this day, seek out a place of religious or spiritual attunements. So go to that place of energetic reserve and go there to recharge your batteries, to also realign yourself. Further, love life, when it comes to Venus, be careful. There are lessons here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's something about it where you're going to have to don't sacrifice like what you're learning spiritually for love at this moment. On a collective level, people are looking to explore and to see if the grass is greener. Do not go to that temptation. Your teacher or guru, if you have it, will teachers will naturally say to stay away from modes of infidelity. But then at the same time, if you need to explore, you should. There are rewards in terms of that. You would be in the dispositor Jupiter. So we go to Jupiter. Yeah, actually, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Also, there will be a natural conflict with the information that people get about love, in conflict with teachers in general. Teachers are also students in terms of that, so it's going to be hard for the lesson to be taught when it comes to dealing with love in general. There's a free form of love here that is unconditional, and because Mars is naturally the opposite of Venus when it comes to the 1st and 7th axis, it's important to sort of hold off on making any major decisions when it comes to love on a collective level. Further, the North and South Node will be activating karmic relationships, soul ties. I don't see it as being heavily afflicted right now, but because your dispositor is in the 4th and 5th axis, do not bring your lovers home. That's what I recommend, something like that. Try to have it at their place, in terms of making company or making things happen. Make it in a public place, or in their abode, their domicile. That's what I recommend. Money. When it comes to money, you're going to be gifted quite a great deal, even if things are crazy in terms of the economy on a collective level. There are new forms of money that are coming that stimulate putting the right action into the right place and aligning your mind with the secret of money making. And that has to do with the transformation of money, transforming money to represent something that is more aligned with a value system that is spiritual. Is very important. To have good, clean money that is aligned with God and consciousness is very important. That's a message I need to give you. All right, that's what I see. 10th house also will be benefited if you transform and align to new ways of working that are good for everyone, including yourself. That would be a very fantastic way to invest your time. That's the very best I have for this reading. I do wish you well. All right, thank you. Bye, Aries. Hi there, this is a reading for Taurians out there. Welcome, Taurus. This is for the month of November 2024. Ron from tarotofthetwinsun checking in. So, when it comes to this month, firstly, we want to look at the house of houses to figure out what's going on in terms of Taurus this month. Basically, we look firstly to the ruler of Taurus, which is Venus. And Venus is in the 8th house in Sagittarius currently. So on a collective level, that means that people are exploring relationships, death and regeneration cycles. They're also connecting in a way that is very powerful. It has to do with the ether and like going out there and sort of being connected galactically with others. So there are seekers right now in terms of love. There's a chance also to sort of work with the physical or the astral, the emotional body, and to fuse with others in the astral planes. This is intended to divine occult information from the Akash, okay, from the 11th house primarily. But then it's very easily, people can very easily come into susceptibility when it comes to trying to find the right information, the correct information, to have the right guides when it comes to this type of work. So the occult sciences are very highly accentuated this month for everyone, especially Taurians, because of their Venus displacement, or their Venusian sort of aptitude, let's call it. And the ruler in the House of Houses sequence, we're just going to keep going, of Sagittarius, Venus in Sagittarius, the ruler of that is Jupiter, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is an opposition between the ruler and Venus in Sagittarius, which stimulates Jupiter, an opposition with Jupiter in retrograde in the gateway of Gemini. And what this means is that there's going to be difficulty in providing stable relationships that actually reflect sublime situations, okay? So meaning that the connections you have on a physical level with this, they're going to pale in comparison to the actual spiritual connection, meaning that there could be a natural disconnect when it comes to connecting with others. And in fact, there's a stronger connect in the astral planes this month. Especially with teachers, with people who are older, people who are wise. They would teach you lessons about this, let's call it sublimation of relationships, wherein what you seek out is information in those relationships, or perhaps even to find a science in that, with Venus being your ruler, and then it is sort of coming into conflict, opposition, and square here, 11, 8, and 2 from Venus, square and opposition from the two teachers of the zodiac, which is basically Saturn and Jupiter in retrograde. When the teachers are there in retrograde, basically these are the huge planets in the sky in our solar system, and basically it kind of points to a lack of direction. Even teachers and gurus or anyone like that, anyone who's older, would not know what they're doing. And there's a sense that there is no leadership currently. Yeah, that's what I see with it. So it's a very interesting situation. Not to bring in politics or anything, but if there were to be an election in the month of November, there would be two teachers who would not want to be celebrated. One a woman, one a man, and this is Trump here, Jupiter in retrograde, and then the woman would be like a Harris or whatever. And they come into contention with this Venusian energy. So there's going to be discord in terms of this month, especially dealing with connections that are spiritual in nature or connections to teacher figures in your life, my dear Taurians. At the same time, Pars Fortune does bless you on the ascendant. There's a chance here to be gifted with extra aptitude when it comes to energy, when it comes to auric energy. And furthermore, the fates smile on you and endow you with wealth. And this wealth becomes something where like you can spend it on yourself and beautify, look like $1 million, as they would say. There is an interesting third to fourth house cusp that activates a triangle here that is very powerful. It has to do with the new moon's energy, and the new moon's energy is based in Scorpio, which is activating your 7th house. So basically what I see here are relationships that will be significant. And that basically will provide with you with basically gifts, and this has to do with Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Unconditional, unconditional, unconditional situations when it comes to love, and an Aquarian way of approaching sorry about that. So back to it. So that unconditional love sort of thing is Saturn's teacher here. Basically, if Saturn's in retrograde, there's a crumbling of the Tower of Babel. Basically, the languages we speak, the ideas we're bringing into the forum, and there is a science that emerges from it. This is a very secret, esoteric thing. It's going to block you from certain relationships, or the relationships will go through a major transformation. Meaning that you have to be careful who you connect with, because there's a chance for you to essentially activate. Actually, I take that back. You don't have to be careful at all. Basically, there's going to be a sort of a huge approach to go ahead and activate gifts of a collective sort of deconstruction that is based on Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and it gifts you with information through relationships. So generally speaking, that's positive. Plus, back to it, the 3 and the 4 cusp, which is accentuated with Mars, Mercury, and the North Node / Neptune in retrograde. Okay, it activates basically the houses of moksha and the houses of desire, of kama, moksha and kama. So there's a chance to have like an aptitude for emotional intelligence when it comes to dealing with spiritual connections with people. And it gives you information in terms of Mercury, Mercury being the mind on a collective level. There's something about what's going on in this month that through the new moon's energy activates in Scorpio, your 7th house primarily, but also your 4th house, 3rd house, plus the 11th and 12th cusp. And it's a very powerful activation. It gives you gifts. It gives you a sense of purpose and drive. If you're feeling like your mission or whatever, if you have to change careers or anything like that, there's a possibility of that. Also, when it comes to being clearer in the mind and knowing your worth during a time of terrible, terrible economic crisis. You know, Uranus in retrograde once again is still in Taurus, and it's not doing well for the global economy. But there are things that you will be able to come clear to mind with, and how to transform yourself into aligning with appropriate desires that are guided by what I would call the super genius. Okay, what Dolores Cannon would call the super genius, which is basically the idea of technology leading us to ways to be free and to also reflect on consciousness being represented in these technologies. For example, AI, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, anything that's new in terms of innovation. So this is a very auspicious time for that. It's an auspicious time for speculation, for defining yourself, to defining yourself through relationships. And generally speaking, it is a positive month for Taurians. All right. So that's just one look at the astrological configuration for the 1st of November. Hopefully you have a good one. Take care now. Greetings to my dear Gemini. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. I'm working through the YouTube platform. We are here to bring a prognostication, a look into the future for the month of the 1st of November, November 2024. So it's a November reading for this month. Firstly, we have an activation of a new moon energy in the house of Scorpio, in 6th house. Basically, there's something about your karma being positively affected by blocks. It's kind of weird how it works. So when it comes to this, any blocks that you have when it comes to work will be set free, will be set loose, and you're going to align a little bit more with your actual mission, whatever that is. So Saturn in retrograde will naturally take away and dissolve into Pisces karmas. And that's a good thing. So when it comes to any blocks in work, there's a chance for newness in the type of daily ritual and daily routine that you go through, and actually making things work for you. And basically that has to do with the whittling down of karmas that are tied directly to your mission. Okay, the 10th house, your prarabdha, which is basically the culmination of karmas that come up to this incarnation. Okay. There's more. So when it comes to this, your ruler, which is Mercury, is also in the 6th house, 7th house cusp, more on the 7th house descendant. So that creates an interesting situation here where you're going to find relationships that approach the house of perfection, and that's the 6th house. There's going to be a way to have deep insights into your relationships, especially soul ties, and you will be rewarded with spiritual wealth plus actual wealth on the 12th house and near the ascendant. So there is a chance that you could have people that you work with on a soul level in mind, and they are greatly affected by the sort of depth that you can provide for them in terms of analysis or in terms of your presence alone, and it allows for deep spiritual insight. It's very interesting because with Uranus in Taurus retrograde 12th house energy, there is basically an activation that is positive for aligning to mission purpose, as well as your goals, ambitions, your truth, your spiritual truth. And this all relates to how you relate to others. And basically you're going to be granted positive energy from friends, especially friends who are dealing with traveling or speculative technologies, especially the internet, and potentially like trying to invest in ways that are outside of oneself in order to produce the right effects. And you're here to guide these people. Your presence alone, your spiritual presence, your physical presence will be enough for these people. Okay. So there's more. Mercury, your ruler, is in Scorpio, and according to the House of Houses reading, Bhavat Bhavam principle, Scorpio's dispositor is Mars traditionally, also Pluto, but we're going to look at Mars, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 and 10 houses. There is a chance for you to actually help out friends, and your friends to help out you, or brothers and sisters, anyone you consider to be fraternal or maternal in nature. Any sort of like brotherhood or sisterhood would come to provide you with the strength to bring fortune in a time of deep dissolution in terms of a global effect. So I'm talking about finances and stuff like that outside of yourself that align with like cleaner money or cleaner spiritual resonant value systems that are tied directly to money. And I think it's, generally speaking, a very positive month for you. So yeah, wishing you well in terms of this. There is more, actually. Let me just quickly relocate here. When it comes to love and stuff like that, generally speaking, this month, Venus in Sagittarius, there's a huge disconnect with people. They try to find their values where the grass is greener, and this will help you to check where you're supposed to be, especially in terms of astrocartography. You would look at the line of Venus, and anything that's not tied to Venus would be the sort of trick, because if you have friends overseas, or if you have friends that are in spiritual institutions or schools or tribes like that, there's something about that helps you to free up and allow yourself for almost like a calling out on the bullshit of spiritual new ageisms. And that's a very blunt way of sort of, you know, allocating your privacy as a need to sort of come up with the higher form in terms of dharma, the dharmic path. All right. Hopefully that helps. Take care. Bye-bye. Greetings and welcome to my dear Cancers out there. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. I am working here on the YouTube platform to bring forward a prognostication for the month of November 2024. So this year is pretty much over. When it comes to 2024, it's a year of dramatic change, the 8th house. It's a year of basically the occult and secrets getting out and stuff like that. You may see it throughout the media. This also has to do with collective, like heritage, collective transference of inheritance, spiritual inheritance mostly. And yeah, for this month in particular, November the 11th, we have here a look at a new moon energy, which stimulates for you in particular the 5th house. Okay, so that's 5 houses away, right over here, and that allows for an activation here of the 5th and the 9th, and the 9th will bless you with a great deal of creativity, of individuality, as well as the ability to creatively pursue romances, but not typical romances, like very intense romances. The 5th house cusp is based on scorpionic energy, and when it comes to this, there could be a teacher out there, a leader, someone that you look up to, and their presence will rain down upon you from the 9th house, and that allows you to have good relationships with others, to work with Leo's energy as well as Scorpio's energy, this fixed energy of bringing forward, let's call it downloads, and allowing during the new moon to get insights, creative insights that are solarly programmed, okay, that are very deep, and you're going to get information with this, with the triplicity of water, okay, so that's from the 9th to the 5th, and that's a download from the beyond, and it allows you to actually be inspired, kind of like Brahms or like Beethoven, anyone who says that they get their creative energy from the creative inspiration, the ideas from a different source. Even Nikola Tesla, it's the same thing. So there is definitely a download this month that is occurring on the 1st of November with the new moon in Scorpio, activating your 5th and 9th houses. Furthermore, the 1st, 5th, and the 9th, close to the MC, get activated with this beautiful triangle, this trine energy. And it's a meeting of the masters, Mars, Mercury, as well as Neptune in retrograde, stimulating Vesta and the North Node in your MC. That means that when it comes to your outer world, inner world dynamic, there's a possibility of coming into an alignment that brings forward a pathway, excuse me, a pathway that aligns you to how you would portray yourself or how your outer world is manifesting. And it activates for you primarily the water houses. So it'll change a bit about what you're here to do. Set you into alignment with your actions, your mind, as well as your dreams, and that's Mars, Mercury, as well as Neptune. Well, Neptune's in retrograde, but that shouldn't, and it's in Pisces, and that should allow for dreams to align with actions and Mercury. So during this time period, pay attention to your dream sequences, because they will be a source of inspiration when it comes to doing the right thing, when it comes to activating the dharmic path. And dharma is basically the righteous path. Okay, and that stimulates further a lot more your 11th, your seventh houses, Uranus as well as Pluto in Capricorn, and Mercury as well as Mars. There's a further embellishment of this. We have like a pentagon, or like almost like a pentagon that's forming, or like a star. You can see it here, and it forces you to actually go through, especially the collective conscious of war, and establish yourself. Even like war, or like weather events, bad weather events, or like global economic concerns, there's a chance to capitalize during this time period, and it has to do with the type of spiritual wealth that activates your first, fifth, and ninth houses. The 159, of course, is Dharma once again, and this is a very beneficial time to establish yourself, to align yourself, your mind and your actions to huge changes that are occurring globally. Okay. Yeah, that's what I see. At least that's what's going on in the outside world on a collective level. Jupiter and Venus are in contention. There could be blocks when it comes to people that you notice dealing with relationships or work situations that are apt to change. And it's a hidden blessing if they do. The gateway of spirituality is open with Jupiter in retrograde in Pisces. That kind of it's kind of close to your ascendant, and that allows for the teachers of the zodiac, which are Jupiter and Saturn, to essentially bestow gifts when it comes to, exploring what love is, or exploring our own value system, trying to realign to that, as well as Saturn bestowing in this new moon relationships that stimulate downloads. Okay, so somehow the nexus of relationships allows for wahe, or like the ability to hear, like the prophet would, messages from the infinite, which is a fantastic thing. Now, your moon is placed in Scorpio, so we have to look at Mars as well as Pluto to figure out what's going on there. We use the principle of Bhavat Bhavam. So moon's in Scorpio, new moon, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3. There could be a friend who is in need of your direction. They may be going through a transformation. Maybe even you're going through a transformation with them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there will be a lesson learned in this. It's a stimulation of the 3 and the 9, allowing for patience and a manifestation of options when it comes to either friends or places abroad, your city, working online, travel, even especially travel. There will be a chance to basically go through a major transformation and get downloads as you travel. Further, it's 7 houses. You can meet people there, as well as people will meet you, and it will help you to align with changes that you are going through. If you can travel, I would recommend it. It would stimulate the pentagon of this reading. All right, well, hopefully that helps. Take care. Greetings and welcome to my dear Leos out there. This is Ron from tarotofthetwinsun. I am working here on the platform to bring a prognostication for the month of November 2024. So firstly, we're going to look at the gift, and that comes through the solar energy of Scorpio. We're in Scorpio season. There's a new moon on November, and that allows for a stimulation of your 4th house. There may be transformations that are going on when it comes to dealing with love, or when it comes to dealing with spirituality, that allows you to sort of redefine your home, to redefine also your inner world. Okay, so this is a very spiritual time to actually go ahead and do that. And any transformations that are going on outwardly in your reality will provide you with a way to go deeply within and reflect upon that. And that allows for a great shift and transformation. It also allows for occult powers, the ability to cultivate prana or Reiki, to move energy, to shift timelines. These are all possible during this time period. In my practice, this is a side note, I've actually witnessed a lot of Leos that go through extremely intense romantic tendencies, okay? That is identifying through the combustion of romance. And that means like getting burned or burning when it comes to romance. Speaking of romance, we have here 7th house, 8th house, a 7th house, 1st house activation, which is the first thing. Opposition of Mars and Pluto. War when it comes to relationships that Leos will be dealing with will be very personal, and there's a sort of there's like a sort of aura of conflict or an aura of friction when it comes to the way Leos represent themselves, at least currently. So it's very important to go within and try not to burn anyone, because your soul energy, what your descendant is showing, at least for November and the beginning of November, is tied to Pluto in Capricorn, and it opposes Mars in Cancer. So when this happens, there's an opposition between bound relationships, and there could be a lot of friction and a need for sort of transforming through the conflict. Okay, it's another key scorpionic energy this month. And sort of kind of striking at the bonds that we would have with other people. Okay, especially if you're in a relationship. Now, if you're not, you have to be careful. Even places of work, there could be friction. You're just naturally generating fire in your aura, and that could burn other people. At the same time, you bring something to these people that activates the 12th, the 4th, and the 8th houses. Okay, the 12-4-8 is basically the houses of moksha. So it is a type of spiritual type of burning. You're going to have a chance to purify. You're going to have a chance to purify your mind, your actions, in juxtaposition with Neptune in retrograde, and stimulate this triangle as well as the pentagram that's showing up here. And that allows for a number of things. For one thing, it allows you to shift your karma a bit when it comes to relationships, especially if you're in a karmic relationship, and execute there in the name of goodness, things that would sort of turn out for the better anyways. There's an acceleration of karma here, and your actions will have an effect on those who are seekers, on those who also resonate with your own inner world, your own inner core philosophy, something that can't be touched and is very deep. And there also is a spiritual message that is coming to the 8th house, Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. And Pisces is a very interesting sign because it's being stimulated by 2 retrograde planets right now. And Neptune can bestow gifts by reflecting actions that pull, actions or perhaps even inspirations, mindsets that pull from the great Akashic record, which is it's a very fantastic thing right now. There is a chance that when it comes to your career, excuse me, and the stability of things, the thing is like you might find yourself like having like a better chance of working from home or like staying home for a while, but at the same time the outer world calls, and the outer world is being famished when it comes to the global recession that we've been in for, I would say, many years now, of inflation and stuff like that. Uranus and Taurus in retrograde, 10th house, and that stimulates for you in particular kind of like making the relationships being seen as someone who is capable, someone who could lead through actions. This is a very auspicious time, I would say, when it comes to work. But your MC, your actual MC, your purpose, your soul purpose, as well as the North Node, they're not highly accentuated right now. So yeah, that's what I see for this reading. Hopefully it's given some insight for the energy of Leo. Do wish you well. Thank you. Greetings and welcome to my dear Virgos out there. We are going through animation to pull up on the first degree of Virgo, which we just have done. This is a reading for November 2024, roughly around the 1st and the 2nd of November in the AM of November 2nd, and this is a November reading, okay? So one thing that is a secret about Virgo is actual connection to the moon. But yeah, Mercury mostly, obviously. So the mysteries of Hermes Trismegistus and the Hermetic Order, Golden Dawn, and anything that's tied to Atlantis will come through this reading as Mercury will watch over us in terms of checking us for that. We have here an activation of the third house, which Mercury, your ruler, okay, is kind of activating a very powerful time. It's a triangle, and it's in the feminine form. The triangle, the chalice, the Holy Grail is here. And basically, we have an activation of the 3, the 7, and the 11. And 3, 7, 11 are karma houses. They have to do with the intellect, emotional intellectualism. It has to do with detached forms of observation, desires coming into intention, and also the gateway of the magician as well, the age of Aquarius. So this is a very powerful reading, considering the third house is activated, 7th house, 11th house. There is a chance for you to sort of come up with clarity when it comes to relationships or the city that you're in, for you to be aligned with the magician's energy, and that brings forward dark and light forms of magic during this time period. So you have to be careful with kama, with manas as well, the ability to bring forward just by thought alone your realities. It's going to be very, very powerful. Something about the collective energy of Mars at the 11th house, okay, in Cancer, plus the Neptune retrograde cycle here in Pisces. It activates for you some sort of like stability. It comes in the form of the 3 and the 9. So there's an ability for you to temper through the path of alchemy and through the path of higher learning something about your own skill set, okay? And this allows you to, for one thing, move timelines, to identify timelines, to use clairvoyance, and to also foresee or predict collective energies of ambition or dreams, okay? And you can work with these further. There is a kind of block in actually capitalizing on this gift, I would call it, of bringing forward like very positive realities of light, okay? But it comes in contention with Uranus in retrograde, but it still gifts you somehow. Opposition plus a gift, plus there's further like a sort of you can see there's a star right in the middle. There's basically a Venusian, I would call it a Venusian star, even though it's not highly aspecting or impacting Venus. Venus is currently in the 4th house in Sagittarius. And when that is activated, there's a chance for you to realign in some sort of way, or at least the collective to realign the difference between work and play, the difference between outer and inner. Okay. So Venus and Jupiter are in contention for the time being. Relationships are not so good. There's something about the difference between home and going out to work and stuff like that, not so good. there further is a difficulty opposition here with Venus and the seventh. Relationships not doing so well in terms of structural relationships that work, functional relationships that work. At the same time, there is a possibility for you to address karmas on your descendant, and be gifted with friends, okay? Highly accentuated through this new moon energy. The new moon is in Scorpio on the 1st of November, and that activates for you a clearing up of karmic backlog with connections, karmic connections or soul connections. And you will be gifted by other people with clarity, insight, and it will align with Mercury's energy, stimulating once again this beautiful triangle, the Holy Grail, the cup in reverse, or the cup that receives. So Divine Feminine is all over this reading. It's very much important for you to become aligned and attune yourself to the gifts of Mercury, and Mercury's dispositor, which is in Scorpio. The dispositor of Scorpio is by the house of houses, excuse me, Mars or Pluto, and Mars is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses away. 9, and then it opposes the 3 houses away. So there's something about 3 and 9 that's very important. The power or the skill set that you have will be checked by an initiator, by someone who's like a teacher or guru, or like someone who is out in the astral plane, someone or something, an entity that's out in the astral plane. And that allows for you to test your gifts, especially when it comes to manifesting just by willpower alone, by thought alone. So make sure that your desires are actually aligned with the intentions that are given to you from the infinite. All right, hopefully that helps. Take care. Bye-bye. Greetings and welcome to my dearest Libra and Librans out there. This is Ron from tarotofthetwinsun. I am working here through the order on YouTube to bring forward a prognostication for the month of November 2024. This is roughly around the 1st and the 2nd of November, this transit reading, and we're looking, of course, at Libra's energy, and I'll be using the first degree of the ascendant for prognostication, for looking into the future of this month. And firstly, there is a star formation, we'll call it a pentagram formation, that is very complicated, but it stimulates in the foundation of it, in the foundation of the pentagram, an auspicious energy where actions can align and bring forward sort of a way to generate a great deal of money, bringing forward situations and gaining through relationships, work relationships, okay, that have to do with bringing in money, and it's like a future type of money. 11th house, Mars in Cancer, stimulating your 10th house, as well as the 2nd house, so, and the 11th house. So basically, this is a very powerful trine formation, this triangle here, and that allows for working with others, especially core members within your tribe, your group, in order to bring about a stimulation of change, a freeing up of karma, okay? And there's a chance for you to come and work with Mercury's energy to bring in richness. This is like Mercury working with Venus, but it's like stimulating or loosening up richness that is accentuated through Taurus, okay, for one thing, and through Scorpio in the 2nd house. So what does that mean? It means that a lot of your wealth will come this month in the form of working with people that you need to work with. These people are in the future. They have certain actions that generate a push towards you manifesting stability for yourself, through these core relationships. And on your descendant, there is a chance to heal up on past energies, okay? The South Node being directly on your ascendant and stimulating the dragon's head with Vesta, and then with Neptune in retrograde here on the descendant. This is a very auspicious time to sort of shift and identify timelines, and by doing that, by working with soul partners or soul contracts, you are able to stimulate freedom and unconditional forms of wealth that align more with your capacity to feel beautified, your capacity to also elevate the mind and the soul through soul contracts, okay? Identifying timelines is going to be very important. The new moon's energy is another boon that rewards you. Saturn in retrograde in Pisces. You don't know where the money's coming from, but it will come. It's like hidden resources, or perhaps even spiritual knowledge that comes in the investment of the Hierophant, okay? The Hierophant, as well as Death card. Basically, there is a sublimation of money and resources that come from work, the work that you're putting in. And this is a time to work for sure, 100%. I wouldn't recommend travel during this month. 3 and the 9 are in opposition, Jupiter in retrograde opposing Venus. Venus is your ruler, and it's stimulating your third house. So basically, there's possible for traveling within the continent you're in, but I wouldn't suggest like going out there and seeking out things like that are really far out from you, especially when it comes to spiritual pilgrimages. When it comes to higher education, I recommend to stay within your country or something like that. There's something about your friends that have certain value systems around this time. They're going to stimulate ideas, and they will bring forward truth eventually from the gateway of Jupiter retrograde in the gateway of Gemini. Further, there's a block, two blocks here. One of them has to do with instability when it comes to generating new forms of work. It's important to address the karmas that are going on, that are being generated collectively in the 10th house. Further, the second house comes into contention with the global crisis in terms of finances. So this is a time to make choices, to stand with them, to align, and to stimulate primarily the 2, the 6, and the 11, 2, 6, the 2, the 6, and the 11. So it's a spiritual time to generate the right types of wealth and to come into karmic situations to also produce the effect that you're going to change in order for the better, so that things get cleared up in karma. You have less karmic cords, less karmic timelines, and that allows for freedom. Because the South Node is here on your ascendant, basically there's going to be a very spiritual key signature to your aura, linked with blue or pink energetic frequencies, healing energies, and you're going to be a natural healer during this time. I don't see very much in terms of angst producing anything here. Yeah, generally speaking, try not to travel too far. Generate the money that you deserve, clear out the karmas with soul contracts, identify timelines, and to clear that out. All right, so I think it's a very positive reading, generally speaking, this month. Take care now. Greetings and welcome to my dear Scorpionic people, my Scorpios out there. We are working here. This is Ron from tarotofthetwinsun. We're working on the YouTube platform to bring a prognostication for the month of November 2024 for the energy of Scorpio. So we're at 1 degree of Scorpio at approximately 5:12, that would be AM on November 1st. There's a new moon activation around this time, and it's going to be directly in Scorpio. So that means there's going to be a huge revelation of occult information that comes through Metatron, which is basically a grid or technology of consciousness that is based on the moon, and because the sun will occult the moon in the new moon cycle, basically there will be no moon in the sky, at least in terms of visibility. So it's a very deep full moon. To be honest, I'm already feeling I'm already feeling the onset of it in terms of the depth and complexity of the sun and the moon in the 8th house. When the sun is in the 8th house, secret information from the occult will be transferred, especially to Scorpio ascendant suns or moons. They will definitely be attuned physically as well as metaphysically in terms of the subtle body, the auric body, the field that is generated, and it will be coated with very intense occult science. Okay, you will be endowed or gifted with the codes to unlock the mysteries of the 8th house, which is very fantastic. There's something about your 5th house cusp and the activation of Saturn that will further endow the moon with goodness. So basically, there's a chance to find yourself in the most creative ways, or to get information from children, from relationships, in terms of romance, or anything that is tied to the energy of Saturn retrograde in Pisces. When Saturn is in retrograde in Pisces, there's like a hidden structure that is mystical that rewards you. These are like downloads that are programmed into your body physically. This could be like a genetic sort of alteration or mutation in terms of your actual physical constitution. And the Scorpio is about death and regeneration. This new moon will allow for a baptism of sorts, being born again in the rebirth cycle of Scorpio with the occulted moon. And this is a baptism through information. It is also a baptism through creativity, romance, and all of that. Yeah, so when it comes to the activation of the grand trine that's occurring, this major triangular formation here, it activates your 10th house on the apex and your 1st and 5th and 6th cusp. 1st, 2nd cusp, 5th, 6th cusp. On the 5, it's 1, 5, and approximately 10, so you could even consider it to be the 2, 6, 10, 2, 6, 2, 6, 10. Basically, what I see here, excuse me, is an activation that allows you to pull in more resources, especially in a creative way from work, just before work. If there is like a change in terms of the progression of the zodiac in degrees, then it would be altering your MC, your calling, and there's going to be an activation of Mars there. And Mars is one of your rulers, traditionally speaking, at least from Vedic astrology. Mars is the primary ruler of Scorpio traditionally, and it is currently in Cancer at about 28 degrees of Cancer on your MC, which allows for, once again, sort of pushing forward with the path that you were called to do. Okay, there could be a chance that you get this activation and it aligns with Mercury, the mind, and activates Neptune in retrograde in Pisces, and furthermore, this ascendant, or this MC position, the 10th house, and basically that allows you to really come up with a mission and follow through with it. You may find that there are certain relationships that come into contention with your mind, and how Mercury in Scorpio allows you to see and sort of skillfully maneuver through relationships that are unstable. For one thing, the mind will not budge. Mercury in Scorpio will not budge when it comes to its placement. And furthermore, you will be more aligned to activate certain karma so that they become executed quicker. Okay, this is like kind of like karmic relationships. Mars in Mars in the 10th house in this mother energy of Cancer, the Chariot, opposing, of course, Pluto in retrograde in Capricorn. So there is a warning here. Just be careful not to be invested in relationships that go against this like cutting ability of Mercury and Scorpio. The mind will cut through nonsense, and anything that is unstable for you, or anything that would sort of at least on a collective level, that would sort of be against you in terms of like for example, to go or not go to war. That is like on a literal page with the global sort of wars that are developing, and the idea that you can free yourself from that if you need to gather your own sense of of self-representation through the mind, Mercury and Scorpio, and not let it be perturbed by the imbalance of the world around you. So this is a very sort of private month. The new moon activates Pars Fortune on your ascendant, on the ascendant of Scorpio, and that allows for wealth to come in also from hidden places, wealth being generated there. So it's a pretty intense time. Let's see. So your ruler on a traditional scale has to do with the new moon. So Mars, the traditional ruler of Scorpio, is Mars, and Mars is on your 10th house in the energy of Cancer. According to Bhavat Bhavam, the dispositor of Cancer is the moon. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 houses away. There is a chance that this new moon will activate a way for you to be shielded from karmas that are going to cause friction for a great majority of the people out there. You can be shielded, and naturally there is a tendency for Scorpio, of course, to go into forms of seclusion and withdraw from things if you need to recharge and rejuvenate. In this moon energy would be auspicious in order for you to sort of come to alignment with your mind. Okay, when the moon and Mercury are when they're both very close or close enough within the same house, especially the first house here, with the new moon energy and the sun there combusting the moon, there is a chance that the willpower that you have right now is very strong, and it will produce for you the creativity you need in order to purify yourself and go into a spiritual realignment. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Take care. Greetings and welcome to my dear Sagittarians out there. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. We are dealing with mutable fire. The 9th house is open. We are doing a house reading for the transit of the 1st of November. This is a prognostication for the month of November for the energy of Sagittarius. We are taking the 1st degree of Sagittarius and making it the ascendant. And yeah, basically we'll be using the principles of the house system to understand what's going on in the month of November for the energy of Sagittarius. Thank you for tuning in. So, firstly, there's a new moon that is occurring around the 1st of November that activates, for you in particular, a very spiritual occultation. It has to do with the 12th house. There's a gateway here that your body, especially if you're astral traveling, can get information, and you can be endowed with a very special astral presence. Okay. This comes with the occulted moon. The sun in the 12th house basically is like the dead sun. And there also is the moon, which is highly amplified in terms of its ability to reflect the Akash. And you can go ahead and visit that place during this time period when the moon is not present. There's a deep occultation of the moon in Scorpio, sun in Scorpio. This time is a huge mystical process for Sagittarians, and it allows for you to be encoded encoded or given keys in terms of Mercury's divine gateway in Scorpio, activating primarily your 12th and 1st houses around that cusp, mostly the 12th house. There is a chance that someone at your home will provide you with blessings in terms of this, and the mind will become a lot more at ease. At the same time, Mercury in the 12th house is a very mystical placement. Okay, so it's like the very end of a cycle. Your ruler, Jupiter, is in retrograde in the gateway of Gemini in the 7th house, right here, and basically that allows for one of two things. Firstly, the dispositor of Gemini is Mercury, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses away. There is an obstacle here, an obstacle that opposes also Venus in your sign of Sagittarius. So it's an obstacle in love. It's also an obstacle in terms of what you attract in soul energies in relationships primarily. And 6 is also about work. It's about really trying to get to a way of thinking that is deeply transformative at this time. And it allows also for this month in particular to kind of get to, I want to call it like a block or an initiation point. 6 houses basically, it's Virgo, but Virgo also can be an initiation point. It's like the end of the houses of the self, and then we go into the energy of Libra in the 7th. So what I see here is a possibility to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to go through a transformation. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, to go through a transformation in terms of your relationships. With Venus and Sagittarius, love becomes a philosophy of freedom, and that allows for basically the stratification of mind over matter, and also free forms of love. That can include polyamory. It could also include love being infused with the idea of the concept of divine love. So these are themes of this month that I see so far. There also is a magnificent trine that pushes forward the excuse me, the 9th, 12th, as well as the 4th houses, and this is kind of a triplicity of water. There's an emancipation triangle here that allows for a very mystical sort of realization in this month for you in particular. It has to do with Mars benefiting from Mercury, benefiting from Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. And when this happens, basically there's like a bit of, I want to call it freedom. I want to call it also like a sense of an ending. It's like a mystical pathway that aligns your actions or the collective actions of the world that produce the correct style of dreaming, or perhaps it opens up a gateway or a portal. There's a chance that a lot of portals can be opened this month, at least for you in particular. This has to do with the idea of mother. It has to do with the idea of death, and also with the idea of the Christ figure. All of those are very important. So yeah, there's much more I could go into, but for now, when it comes to it, yeah, it's primarily a time to rest and regenerate. If there's all this 12th house energy just before the sun goes into Sagittarius in the next month, it's going to be important for you to go through the sense of an ending on many different parts or realms of your life. And right now the 12th house activation is very strong. It's very much recommended you get your proper rest and relaxation and sleep and meditative forms going, okay? Hopefully that helps. Take care now.
Greetings and welcome to my dear Capricorn. This is Ron from tarotofthetwinsun. I am working here on the YouTube platform to bring a prognostication for the energy of Capricorn. Welcome, Capricorns. So this is a transit reading on the 1st of November 2024. It sort of puts an authority stamp on what would happen or what potentially could be activated in the month of November. So it's a monthly reading. The 10th house is open. Firstly, Saturn, which is the main dispositor, the ruler of Capricorn, is in retrograde in the 3rd house. When Saturn is in retrograde in the 3rd house, basically the magician loses its structure. And the magician's structure is usually dualistic. It has to do with the left and right brains, the left and right hemisphere, masculine, feminine, and also the twins of Gemini. And there's a sense that in this month, an activation of Saturn in your 3rd house, Saturn's a slow mover, it's going to be there for a while, basically allows you to have a friend grid that allows for a type of technology that is spiritual in nature, a mystical technology, let's call it, a type of engineering that allows for this dualism to approach and to be used. Okay, so this has to do primarily with dark and light. Okay, either you're of the dark or they're of the light, or vice versa. And when it comes to your friends and siblings, there could be certain triggers that are stimulated. Okay, this has to do with willpower, skills, mastery, competition. Okay, with friends and with brothers and sisters, with brotherhoods and sisterhoods out there. Okay, so let's say there was a priest or there was a nun, and there was a brother priest and a brother nun, or a brother priest with a fellow priest. They would compare skills with each other, and the new moon, essentially in the 11th house, your 11th house of Scorpio, the cusp of Scorpio, activates something very, very interesting because it brings forward skills from the 11th house. 11th house has to do with technologies. It has to do also with the future. It's mostly an Atlantean house. It's tied to the energy of Aquarius. So this moon in Scorpio might actually have a very fixed movement from water to air. There's a theme here of ascension through a spiritual mode that is very deeply rooted in the triplicity of water. And there's a benefit here that activates your 3rd and 11th houses. Okay. And basically, those are the houses of desire. There's something about what you desire aligning with intentions that are done to produce one of two effects, either the righteous use of this type of technology or the unrighteous use of this technology. You have to sort of compare and contrast. Because dark and light, it's kind of the same thing when it comes to the magician's energy. It's just energy, and the play of energy through the 3rd house in friendships is allowing for a hidden order to emerge. Saturn retrograde, accentuated by the new moon. So it's pretty esoteric, but I do see here a skill set that would be awakened during this time period. Next, we have Mercury, Mars, and Neptune retrograde. That is stimulating, again, the three the 3, well, for you, the 3, the 7, and the 11, 3, 7, 11 houses. And that allows for, once again, a way to receive, because we have here a cup formation. This triangle that's in reverse basically symbolizes a cup. It's also the symbol of the divine feminine. When it comes to this, there's a chance for receiving mental energy or mental stimulation when it comes to your goals and acquisitions, especially your humanitarian tendencies that are defined through Scorpio's energy and the triplicity of water. Once again, water is Scorpio, Pisces, and the energy of Cancer. And these are all in the desire karma houses. Okay. Now, karma is a very powerful thing. It's the power of the mind. It's kind of like karma equals manas, which is the ability for that in which you think, at least in Krishna consciousness, becomes reality. And this type of reality is tied to a skill set. It's tied to a perfection of mind in which you can be quiet enough to receive the information and to not judge. This trine is activated through, Mercury, as well as Neptune in retrograde and Mars, all in the houses of water, through the 3, 7, and 11 houses, through the idea of this, I would call it desire aligning with intention, desire turning into intention. Okay, so it's the intention in which the way we use our empathy that allows for Capricorns to receive more this month, okay? But at the same time, there are dual oppositions that occur, activating your 1st, 7th, as well as 5th and 11th houses. It's not the best time for romance. There would be conflicts, transformations, instability when it comes to romance. That's Uranus in retrograde in the 5th, Pluto opposing Mars, and then Uranus opposing Mercury. So it comes to a point where you have to go inward and check your intents and make sure that your desires are intentions rather than just desires. Further, Venus is further accentuated negatively here with the Saturn retrograde energy, square opposition Jupiter in retrograde in Gemini. So that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult in terms of blocks that come with friendships, blocks that come with information. Venus. Okay, so Venus is also a guru, but it's a darker guru. It's tied to the Rakshasas, which are basically it's the demon world. It's kind of like Lilith. Lilith is in the 10th house right now, not highly aspected. Your IC and MC are activated. There's a chance here to align your the North Node with the South Node and to be blessed with Mercury. So a little bit more information coming. Mercury is going to be a very high benefactor this month. Saturn is going to be, of course, gifted quite a great deal from friends either in your city or abroad. So look to foreign connections also. There's a chance that with the Ascendant and Fortune there, and as well as Vesta on the MC, you can align your path as well as what you're here to do. And gain fortune from past, like alleviating past life energy or karmas, okay, which is a good thing if you can come to light with that. The dispositor of Saturn, according to the house of houses, Bhavat Bhavam, the dispositor of Saturn is the moon. So dispositor of Pisces is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The new moon, it's an occulted moon in Scorpio, is going to be teaching you a lesson about these technologies coming into hand, mystical technologies that are deeply infused with occult energy, and it's going to bring forward the magician here, just basically a way to manifestation, aligning the mind with these occult powers. Okay, so it's a very intense reading for this month. Hopefully that helps. My dear Capricorn, take care.